Ciao ragazzi, welcome back to Inter Worldwide, and it's that Pacific Ocean link up that I've been wanting for a long time. So I'm going to fluff on for a bit at the start of this show to allow a few people to jump in. There is 6 people here already. That's what you like to see on a Friday afternoon. I'm going to introduce my guest. His name is Sam. His followers on YouTube know him better as the Kiwi Kicker. Sam, I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself, how you became an Inter fan. First of all, benvenuti and welcome to my channel. I've been wanting to have you on for a while. Don't forget to tell some people about what you do as well on your YouTube journey. So welcome. The floor is yours, my friend.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate it. Yeah, so basically I've been on YouTube for about 3 years now. My channel is called Kiwi Kicker, and it started out as like I don't know, because I'm from New Zealand, obviously, so I'm a big rugby fan as well. I love the All Blacks, and you know, we always had that big sort of argument online about, you know, whether American football players were soft for wearing pads and helmets and all that sort of stuff, and there was just that age-old argument going on online. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to come online and approach it from a non-biased sort of you know, even way, and just and take a look at it and actually, you know, see if I can appreciate it for what it is. So yeah, I started reacting to American football and, you know, the biggest hits and the greatest plays and the biggest legends of the game and everything like that. And yeah, I ended up falling in love with the sport, and, you know, now I'm a huge fan. So yeah, and that's kind of where it's taken off from there. So obviously most of my subscribers are all from America. But yeah, it's yeah. And as far as my Inter background goes, so my grandfather, Ruggiero, he lives in Bastia, which is a small town, probably about 2 hours north, 2 hours south of Rome, directly south of Rome. It's very close to Assisi, St. Francis of Assisi. And yeah, I used to go there many times. I used to go to Italy once a year, every year for probably about 10 years in a row back when I was younger. You know, a lot through my teen years as well. But yeah, my dad was also an Inter fan. But when I was a little boy, I used to follow Roberto Baggio. Wherever he went, I was just, you know, I was glued to that guy, man. He was the guy who made me fall in love with the sport. So any team that he was playing for, I would just cheer for them only because of him, not because of the badge. But mate, when he landed at Inter, and it was him and Vieri and Ronaldo, R9, the original Ronaldo, that made me just stop right there, and I just fell in love with the colors, because I obviously knew that my dad and my grandfather were Inter fans. So when that kind of happened for me, you know, and we signed like the best player in the world at that time, Ronaldo, I was hooked, man. I was hooked. That's
awesome, bro. You know, that era of Inter that should have won way more, eh, bro?
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely, man.
That's it, man. But hey, we are Campione d'Italia, and before I go into that, the regulars are all here, like your Jakes, your Razor of Orion, and your Nix Knox. For those who are saying it's super early morning, bro, it's Friday afternoon to me. So now you know how I'm feeling when I'm getting on at 5:50 in the morning doing the live stream for you guys in your cozy little afternoon shift. My boy Tim's in the chat as well, and I think I might bring in that brother a little bit later on. But yeah, if you're one of the 15 people watching this video right now, make sure you leave a like and show some love for Inter Worldwide, because I'm going to be doing a lot of content this weekend. If you're a fan of the merch, obviously I don't like to push things on people, but let me know and we can sort something out as well. Sam, Campione d'Italia, as I said before we started the stream, winning the title at Inter was like getting your paycheck and then waking up the next day to your water bill, your electricity bill, your gas bill, and a speeding fine, all in the one hit, bro. How you feeling about Numero 19? Are you still happy? Are you still buzzing? Do you still see the positives going into next season, bro?
Oh, absolutely, man. I'm still buzzing for sure. Obviously, there is a little bit of like a, you know, I don't want to say negative, but just a little bit of an undertone that kind of feels a little bit, you know, rough with the whole, you know, financial situation. But yeah, man, being champions again, lifting, just that feeling of lifting the trophy again, you know, when you think back to the treble era with, you know, like all those legends like Zanetti and stuff like that in charge, it was just, yeah, it kind of took me back to that just for a little moment. You know, it just reminded me of, you know, what it means to be an Inter fan, you know, and how much the club, you know, belongs at the top. You know, that's where they belong. And yeah, it's been a rough 10 years, man. It's been a rough, that feels horrible to say, it's been 10 years, but yeah, it's been rough. But yeah, no, it feels really good. And also the added bonus is, you know, having my 9-year-old boy celebrate it with me. And just as by pure coincidence, like I like to call it destiny, but on the very day that he turned 9 years old, they lifted the trophy. So that, for me, that's just perfect.
I want to say well done, but poor kid doesn't realize he's got about 4 decades of misery coming up, man. But no, let's hope for more success, man. Let's hope for more success, and that's great. One of the personal dreams of mine in my life is to be able to share some of these interrelated moments with a child of my own. So big up to you and your family on their YouTube journey, and let's get started on the stuff that is really interesting at the moment. It's Simone Inzaghi Day. And you know why it doesn't feel like shit, Sam? It's because when it was Conte Day, that was almost like a public holiday for Inter fans. We went nuts when it was Conte Day, when he signed. And the work that the Inter media house put in, it was nuts.
Yep.
Simone Inzaghi got a botched Photoshop image with some real poor font. I swear to God, I can make thumbnails better than the Inter media house put out today for Simone Inzaghi. But albeit, what are your thoughts on the new manager coming in, man? Lay it all down. Lay it all down, spare no expense. What's your overall thoughts on Simone Inzaghi as our next boss?
Yeah, well, like you said, with Conte, you kind of, when he was announced, you had that feeling of assurance. You kind of just had that calmness. You just knew that, he will take whatever team he gets and just make it, that much better. There was no doubt about him actually improving the team. So I have to say that with Inzaghi, he's not a coach that I've actually followed all that much, apart from maybe, a few games that I've watched here and there of Lazio. But when we have played them, he hasn't been a coach where their tactics that have, against us have really stood out to me and I thought, wow, that's a good coach who knew how to try and do their best against us. Like De Zerbi or, these other coaches who usually do really well against us, like Sassuolo and all these bogey teams that we usually have always kind of make us stumble, at the crucial time of the season. But for me, I don't know. Look, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I do trust him. I know that he's done incredibly well with Lazio for what he's had. He hasn't had the personnel that, to me, winning the Coppa Italia and the Super Coppa Italiana is actually quite a big achievement for me with him. I mean, yeah, he's had Immobile, who's been firing on all cylinders for about 2 or 3 years now, which helps a lot. And, Milinkovic-Savic. But apart from that, he's only really had sort of like one really good player in each area of the field, like Acerbi in defense and, like I said, Milinkovic-Savic in midfield and Immobile in attack. And the rest have kind of just been that level below. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what he does, and it's going to be, I think, the transfers are going to determine how his season goes. So, and I think that's not really his fault, to say for the situation that he's walking into.
100%, man. And that being that as it is, who do you think Inter can possibly bring in this Mercato? Because I know it still remains to be seen, and there's no real point making predictions before this massive Euro tournament, but I don't think we're going to spend much. And, you watch the channel and most people who've come on here have said that they don't expect us to spend much. So what do you expect that could come in?
Well, that's the thing, man. I mean, I think it's going to be more of a selling window than a buying window. I think, if you remember a few years back when, I don't know if it was Marotta or maybe just before, but when we had to do that crazy amount of work just to try and scrimp and, it was a selling window and we had to sell all of our Primavera talent and we had to try and, do all these little tiny deals. We did about, like 10 or 15 of them. And we were just trying to get like 3 million here, 4 million here. And we were just trying to build up those funds just to try and get ahead. But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what we do. I think like you said, I think, a big player probably will have to be sacrificed. And then we can start seeing some, purchases. But I mean, really, even after, let's just say, for argument's sake, that we do sell Hakimi for around 80 million to PSG or Bayern or whoever's interested, then how much can we spend out of that? Or does that actually just make us break even and then we have to continue doing work? So, it's really hard to tell. I mean, I know that, João Mario, has that been confirmed? João Mario, 8 million to Sporting?
I don't think it's been 100% confirmed. And, these days in the media and in football, it's horrible, isn't it, man? Because you see these headlines come out and then they linger for a good 2 weeks. Take me back in the day where you open up one headline with a rumor and 24 hours later, the player was holding up the jersey. But to be honest, man, all we can do is continue to speculate. At the moment, it does look like Hakimi. It does strike me as weird for someone to do this like in the final game of the season and then so quickly be out the door. But we've seen it happen in the past. I remember I saw Stefan Jovetic do it in a preseason friendly. He scored a cracker of a goal for us, pointed at the crowd and went, "I'm staying." And he was on a bus the next day to the airport, bro. So it could happen. I think Hakimi is a much bigger asset than Jovetic was, but we'll see. I'm going to answer this question nice and quick before we go on. Good night, guys. It's 1:41 a.m. here in Peru. So shout out to our brother Mario Delgado for tuning in. Do you think that Emerson Palmieri will move to Inter? It's a tough one, man. It's a real tough one because he hasn't played many minutes this season. He hasn't played many minutes at all this season. So what are your thoughts on Emerson Palmieri, man? And I'll be back on camera in about 20 seconds. So tell the people watching, do you think Emerson's a good choice, or would you keep Federico De Marco? Because it does look like we might be able to get him back.
Yeah, well, for Emerson, I think, he has been a bit of a backup at Chelsea in recent times. I actually, to be honest, in my honest opinion, I actually haven't seen much of him play, obviously because he's been a bit of a backup, so it's been hard to see him play minutes. But at the same time, I don't know if he is, if he's worthy of the Inter jersey to start, as a starter. I would think that if we could keep someone like Hakimi, then Emerson would be like a perfect backup on either wing. And then we upgrade our left wing back position, or even keep Perisic if we can, if that's an option. If he wants to stay, then we've got Hakimi and Perisic, because to me, that was just like an outstanding, that fitted Conte's tactics perfectly, was having Perisic and Hakimi on the opposite wing. So for Emerson, I think that, he's Italian, so I think that's another big plus, something that Inter seems to be going for lately, is bringing in the Italian talent. But honestly, man, I could go on for all day about Hakimi, man. For me, he is absolutely untouchable, and to me, it seems crazy that the Inter management are even thinking about selling him. For me, it's just like it's a no-brainer. He's the only one. He is the only one who makes your strikers and your midfielders better in every game. He is the only one who does that. You've got Damian. He stepped up. But he scored those 2 goals, those decisive goals that gave us those 1-0 wins on his own. Who provided the assist on both of those goals to Damian? Which player gave him the assist?
Bro, it was Hakimi. His link-up play with the forwards this season was unreal.
Yep, exactly. When he walks into the best 11 on the planet in my books. If you pick a top 11 on the planet right now, and you have like a similar, formation to Conte, and you've got these wide players, for me, Hakimi is the best on the right-hand side of on the field on the planet. Absolutely no doubt. He walks into any team, any club on the planet. And we got him for a bargain. We got him for half price, because you see what he's worth now.
Yep.
You don't get picked up at Real Madrid as a teenager, just by chance. He is an incredible player, man. He's the best in the player and best in the world at his position. And, he reminds me of, I haven't felt like that about someone like a wingback or a fullback since the days of Maicon or Roberto Carlos. And I hope that we don't make the same mistake as Roberto Carlos, bro, because Maicon, we held on to Maicon, and look at the success that he brought us. How key was he to that era of Inter, that treble era? How key was he?
Oh, man, I remember a couple of late goals he scored for Mourinho in the Serie A, so many different games as well. It's just frustrating because we've been looking to have someone of this stature in this position for so long, and I think Marotta knows that. I mean, why are the rumors to PSG leaking and then going quiet for 6 or 7 days? I'm not prepared to call this done yet. I'm not prepared to call 100% sure that he is leaving. Yes, okay, at the moment he seems the likely option. For me personally, I love Romelu Lukaku, but if you put a gun to my head, I say that he might be the best option to let go, primarily because of his age and the price tag. He fishes triple digits, 100 million in my opinion, from a stupid English club. But at the same time, what a sacrifice in the dressing room it would be to lose Romelu Lukaku and Antonio Conte. That's a big part of that Inter soul ripped right out of its identity, man. So I think it's huge for Lukaku to stay. What do you think on that?
Yeah, I think that's the heart of the team gone right there, bro. I mean, for me personally, I think that Lukaku and Hakimi are the 2 untouchables. I mean, like out of the 2, I think Lukaku is probably the more easily replaceable player, with the money that he would command, and then, with the amount, the budget that we would have after selling him. But, let's just say, for instance, we had, who's the last striker we had, the last number 9, Icardi. Look at all the problems that he brought, man. His attitude, the toxic atmosphere that he brought in. He just wanted all the glory for himself, and look what ended up happening to him. He sits on the bench at PSG now. That's what I love about Lukaku, man. He's humble. He's got such a professional attitude, and he's just willing to go to battle and just follow any coach into battle. And I just love that about him, man. He's humble, and that's a huge difference between the, Icardi and him. So those are the big comparisons that I can draw. So for me, I personally think that Lautaro is the player that should be sold. I think that, yes, he's younger. He's probably got, a bit more room to improve. But for me, you just look at that production, man. I mean, I think that Lukaku is hitting his stride. I think that he's just coming into his prime. I think he's hungry. He's just won a trophy for the first time in how long? And now he wants to prove to everyone that he wants to keep doing it, man. He wants to keep on going. And so that's why I think that for me, Hakimi and Lukaku are the two absolute untouchables, and they are the pillars of the future of Inter for me.
Well said, bro. Like in terms of keeping Lautaro, I would be more than happy to keep him, but I would also understand why we would fetch his price tag. If you're asking me to pick out of the two, Lautaro and Hakimi, to sell, I choose Lautaro. Now, a few people like our friend Bruno and Christian and a few others might say, no, Hakimi can fetch you the bigger price and we've got backups. Well, guess what? I am not ready to go down from Hakimi down to Darmian and D'Ambrosio. We all saw Darmian when he started games under Conte. He wasn't half the player when he came off the bench. That downgrade at that wing-back position, I swear to God, is going to look monumental if we think we can go into next season playing Darmian or D'Ambrosio on the right-hand side. I've had a little bit of time to think about this. We need a proper replacement for Hakimi. And why even do that when you've got the best one on the planet? The more it sits for me, the more I'm all the more interested, all the more I'm invested in jumping on the Hakimi in bandwagon. I think it's a shit decision from our club and our management, to be honest, but it looks like the most likely option. I know Bruno Conte is no longer our manager, but don't tell me that a coach playing a 3-5-2 like Inzaghi isn't licking his lips at the prospect of having the best right wing back on the planet. I'm not a football manager myself, but I can only assume that he is. What do you think?
Oh, definitely, man. I mean, I think that's the other thing that puzzles me is it's not like a complete tactical overhaul that we're going to get, between the two managers. I think that for me, Hakimi fits perfectly into Inzaghi's plans because Inzaghi is a lot more of an attacking-minded coach, and he plays almost the same formation, similar. He probably likes to play with a bit more of like a trequartista, maybe, and that's where I think that we can actually benefit and play Eriksen in his natural position and get the best out of him. Get more goal production out of him, more assists and everything like that. And I think, and then we keep Brozovic and Barella and keep those two behind him. And I think we need to sell players like Gagliardini and, Raja and make all these sales permanent because for me, even as backups, they're just not reliable. They're not when you bring on a player like Hakimi, when you bring on a player like Gagliardini instead of like, Barella or Brozovic, you don't have that feeling of like we can carry on playing the way that we were playing, and that's what you want in a big team like Inter, one of the best clubs in the world. You want that that consistency, within the 90 minutes. That's what big teams like Real Madrid and Bayern Munich and all these Barcelona, they can all actually hold on to that consistency throughout the 90 minutes because they have the depth. For me, so if you sell a player like Hakimi and go down to Darmian, what's happening to our depth? Where does our depth go? Who's going to back up Darmian? What if Darmian goes down with an injury?
Dude, you're speaking my language, man. Trust me. This is a great little series of comments that I got to say. Should Inter go for Memphis, especially if Lautaro leaves? King Darian, my brother, thanks for joining the chat again. And the answer is no, because Bruno just said it. Memphis is a rapper, not a striker. He is way more invested in his rap career at the moment. But to be fair, Memphis Depay is a quality player. He's a good talent. He's done very well for Lyon, carried them on his back at times. But the mentality for him is simply not there, in my opinion. What are your thoughts on that, bro?
No, I totally agree, man. It's all for me. Depay reminds me of someone a little bit like Icardi, where he kind of wants to be the center of the entire team. He wants to be the center of the project, and if he's not, then he'll kick up a fuss, or he'll have the wrong attitude, or his effort will drop, and his production will drop. I think we saw that at Man United. He kind of walked into a team of players similar to his skill level, and then it kind of it looked like he just threw his toys. He spat the dummy. And so that's why he only lasted, a season or two there. And I think for me, that's why it's like he's the type of player who goes to a club like Lyon and is the center of the project, and he does really well. And he looks like he's worth a lot more money. But for me, if he steps into a club like Inter and has to be back up to like Lukaku or vice Lukaku, then for me, he's not the type of player I want around. All because like you said, it's just his attitude, man. Great
Fair
player,
enough,
though. Great
man.
talent.
We're keeping things south of the equator today, 100%. Like, because we got Tim from the Gold Coast, my boy. How you doing? Thank you for joining Inter Worldwide, man.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me, Anthony. It's an absolute pleasure to be on here.
No worries, man. Meet the Kiwi kicker, Sam, Tim.
Yeah,
pleasure
doing,
connecting with Inter fans all over the globe.
Good, thanks, mate. How you going?
Yeah, love it. Yeah, good, mate. How you doing?
Good, very good.
That's good.
That's awesome. There's 22 people in this video right now, which is awesome. So make sure you leave a like and a comment, do all those things. Let's go to a few comments first. My friend Ricky Buzz is here. What's up, guys? Good morning. Good morning to you, Ricky. Johari, sorry if I've mispronounced your name, man. I don't do that very well. Raspadori vice Lautaro or his replacement. Not his replacement, in my opinion. Great player, really good player, in my opinion. And the fact that he's an Inter fan means he will bleed for this shirt. But you got to remember, and I'm gonna go to my guest for this as well. I think Lautaro is starting to really tinker on the brink of world class. Like, he's a couple of seasons away from really exploding into that player because he's already so good. If he can just keep his head and his discipline, this guy's gonna be a top 3, top 5 striker in the world. If he's not maybe a top 5 striker in the world already, in my opinion. Let's go to Tim first because he just joined the chat. What are your thoughts on that, man?
On Lautaro, yeah, I agree. I 100% agree. I think in the next few years, we'll see him turning into a top 5 striker in the world. I think sometimes mentality-wise, still he can lose it a bit. And we see him go on the ups and downs of his, sometimes he's having good games, sometimes he's having bad games. But I think once he matures a little bit, we're going to see him as a top 5 striker for sure.
Yeah. What about you, Kiwi? What's going on with that?
Yeah, for me, Lautaro, I agree. I think Lautaro's got a high ceiling. I think he's got a lot of room for improvement. He's, he's showing a lot of promise, but at the same time, he's also he has been quite inconsistent. He has dropped off for maybe 4 or 5 game periods at a time where he just misses really easy chances. That might be a thing to do with experience and age, but I think if you want success now, if you want Inter to build the momentum that we have, then you keep players like Lukaku, you keep players like Hakimi. They're the ones who will actually, like Hakimi has the speed mixed with the production that is made for the UEFA Champions League. And Lukaku is that, top 5 striker in the world name who will, give you that goal production for the Champions League campaign, with the right team behind him, with the right support, with Hakimi on the wing. And if we sell Lautaro now, I think that actually, let me go back. If we keep him and we sell Lukaku and we wait these 2 or 3 years for Lautaro to become a top 5 striker in the world, what's going to happen in that? Like, we won't be champions with just Lautaro leading the line, in my opinion. He's not. I don't think he's ready to do that. I don't think he's ready to have a 30-goal season. I don't think he's ready to have a 25-goal season quite yet. So it's and then how badly behind will the other team behind him fall? If we don't keep someone like Lukaku, who is built for success now. So we could end up trying to, gamble and sell Lukaku and keep Lautaro. And then a few years down the line, the rest of the team has faltered because we haven't had that immediate success, because obviously with being champions, with qualifying for the Champions League, you get money, you get more funds, just for me, it makes more sense to keep Lukaku and sell Lautaro if we had to. Trust me, man, I love Lula. I love that combo. One of the greatest attacking duos in Europe right now. I love it. I would not break up. If I had the choice, I wouldn't. But unfortunately, that's the position we're in right now. So, for me, I think that I would rather sell Lautaro than Lukaku, personally.
Yeah. How do you guys reckon Lukaku's going to go without Conte? Do you think he's going to drop off, or do you think he'll stay where he's at the moment?
He's gonna drop off a little bit because Conte really got the superhuman aspect out of Romelu Lukaku. But I do think that with enough focus and application, Romelu Lukaku can have another stellar season under Simone Inzaghi. Kiwi Kicker mentioned it before. Christian Eriksen playing in his natural role as a trequartista. Expect a lot more service to Romelu Lukaku from the center of the park. That would be awesome, because last season we really did rely on the flanks a lot. Even Lautaro a lot of the time was picking up the ball very, very wide, or at least finishing or running in from very wide as well. We were very, very flanky focused last season. I do expect that to be a lot tighter with this midfield next season. I think the midfield is, so important to us that I really wouldn't break up any of your Brozovic, Barella, Christian Eriksen.
No.
Like those three just have to stay 100%.
Yeah.
Boys, I can't believe Stefano Sensi got injured on the freaking training for Euro, man. Like this is comical shit, honestly. Like this is turning. I don't know if you heard about it, Sam. He got injured this morning at Euro training, bro. He's out. He's back on a plane to Milan. Do you believe that?
I hadn't heard it, but I'm not surprised one bit.
I thought that was just the play on from his Inter injury. I didn't realize he got injured again.
I thought it was a Photoshop when I saw it at the start of the day. I'm like, no, come on. There's no way is it this bad. But it is. We got to sell. I think we need to sell. What do you think, Tim?
Yeah, I 100% agree. Like, I love Sensi, and when he was playing at the start of last season, when he first came, he was incredible. I thought this guy's going to be the next little Messi player. But it's ridiculous. It actually is. It's beyond comical now, the amount of times this guy's gotten injured. And I'm starting to think it's a bit of a mentality thing too. I think he's just weak. I think if he gets a little bit injured,
straight up.
Because it doesn't make sense. Unless he's got an issue, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in terms of cashing in on midfielders, we're looking to get cash for João Mario, Raja Nainggolan, possibly Sensi, Tim Gagliardini or Vecino. If you've got a chance to cash in on one, who is it?
Yeah, I'm always been on the Vecino train, so I'd be getting rid of Gagliardini. But yeah, I think Vecino, especially under Inzaghi, I think we might see some improvement from him, because I just think he's got a bit more to offer than Gagliardini. What about you, Kiwi?
Mate, I've never been a fan of Gagliardini. I've never liked him. I don't think he's. I honestly don't think he's into material. I'm just going to be bluntly honest. I don't think he has been into material. Maybe Atalante, who's showing some promise, and I think they gambled on his on his potential. But I think for me, I mean, how many iconic moments has Vecino already had in Inter's history? In the last 2 or 3 years. Yeah. Gagliardini, what's he done? He cost us the season last year with that open goal sitter where he smashed it into the post with no one in goal, and we lost the season by 1 point in the end. So as you think back to moments like that, and for me, Gagliardini is not. He is not and has not ever been reliable in the inter midfield. For me, he's been a liability more than anything. So Vecino every day. Yeah.
Vecino FC, Bruno is checking in, but he also makes a good point here, saying Inzaghi wanted Gagliardini at Lazio, cannot see him leaving, to be honest. I'm worried Simone Inzaghi thinks Gagliardini is going to turn into his Milinkovic-Savic, but he'll find out pretty quickly that's not going to be the case. There is something that we still need to talk about, because for some reason he still feels like my manager. And that's such a pussy thing to say. That's like what you say when you break up with someone and you still think there's a chance for it to work. But Antonio Conte being rumored to the Spurs is such a slap in the face. What's wrong with this guy? Did he actually think that he was going to go there? I reckon it's a vendetta thing with Chelsea. He goes to Inter after being rivals, after being a Juventini his whole life. He goes to Chelsea, falls out with them. He's like, oh, look, Chelsea's main rival, Tottenham Hotspur, is offering me a job. I might just dip my toe into this. Maybe he's inquired and he doesn't like the aspect of the project and he's thinking of taking an extended break back home. But I'm going to go to Tim first. What are your thoughts on Conte's potential next move?
Yeah, well, actually, my brother-in-law is a huge Spurs fan, and he's already voiced it, saying he's not keen at all on the move. Like, he thinks it's just another Mourinho-type move. But it kind of just shows, like, I think it's just proving the point more that Conte is one of those guys. He wasn't going to last much longer at Inter anyway. He just likes hopping around real fast for a couple of years at most. And I think probably the way we departed with Conte is probably pretty good considering the last few clubs he's left and the way that he's left. So I think it's a strange move. It's going to be interesting to see what Harry Kane does. I think that's going to be the biggest, element in this situation is if Harry Kane's going to stay with Conte. I can see him probably maybe doing some decent stuff with Spurs, but it's a very strange move. I don't understand it.
Yeah, let's go over to Sam. What are your thoughts on Conte potentially going back up to London, man?
I don't know. For me, he seems like that type of guy who I don't know if there's that whole Chelsea thing in it or not, but for me, he seems like the type of guy who sees a challenge and he's like, Spurs haven't won a trophy in how long? And I think I think he probably felt the same way with Inter, to be honest. I think he looked at Inter and was like, you know what, they actually, I can do something with them. That's a club who hasn't won something in a while that I can bring glory back to. And I think that he probably feels the same way. He's just that type of guy. He's hungry. I don't think he likes sitting back on, being a champion and then just being like, yeah, let's start a cycle here and let's keep on winning and winning and winning with the same team. I think he probably finds it a bit boring. I think he likes to look at the underdog, and then kind of think that I can actually, I can turn them into a championship team and I can bring them some silverware.
Probably a bit of ego, I'd say, as well. Likes to be the man to come in
just
and
a little bit.
Bring a team up. Yeah.
Yeah. Fair call. For me personally, man, it just seems bizarre. And I think what Tim's onto something, right? It does actually start to make you realize a little bit logically and make you feel a bit better. This relationship with Conte was about as temporary as it was going to get. And the more that I think about that, the more I think, wow, thank you. And I'll take that 19th Scudetto and wear it on my chest for the rest of my life. Because had we not won the Scudetto this season, knowing what we know now in hindsight, Conte would have kicked us in the balls and ran off, man. He would have slandered us to no tomorrow. It would have been our fault. At the end of the day, those celebration videos on YouTube of us winning the Scudetto, now they appear a little more realistic with a little bit of like just lackluster look in some of the faces, the big faces at the club. But had we not won number 19, boys, this would have been a very, very painful off-season, man. What do you think? You think so, Tim?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I can imagine. And I reckon Conte would have spat his dummy for sure. And we would have been looking at a much worse situation than we're in now. So I think all things considered, looking in hindsight now, like a week's hindsight, I think it's good for us. It's obviously going to be interesting with Inzaghi coming in, though. It's going to be it's great that he's doing the same formation. But I'm unsure still how I feel about it, to be honest, with the big change. So
yeah. Fair enough. It is a big change. We've talked a fair bit about what's going on with the club. I don't know what else to talk about before we go into a little bit of Euro chat, but there's a lot of dead weight in this side that needs to be sold. So I'm just going to give my 2 cents on something I haven't spoken about in a couple of videos. The likes of Alexis Sanchez, Ivan Perisic, Arturo Vidal, Alexander Kolarov, these are big salary boys. These are very big salary boys. I don't think these guys are in a position in their career where they would even consider taking a pay cut, even if we were to ask them nicely. So I'm not too sure what's going to happen there. With Alexis Sanchez, I say we keep, and I think the club are on the same page because at the end of the day, we're paying him $7.5 million a season, I think. But at the end of the day, we got him for a free. That was a Beppe masterstroke, and I still think we're saving money in the long run by keeping him on board for another season. On the flip side, Arturo Vidal's salary is not only huge, he is a liability when he comes onto the pitch. And the only thing that was stringing a little bit of fluidity with him last season was Antonio Conte. For me, Arturo Vidal is second name out the door behind Kolarov. I like Vidal. Big up to his career. What a player. He deserves to be completely big up for his career. A true winner at heart. That goal against the Ladri scum last season, boys, that's pure winner's clutch right there. That's about as mentally tough as you can get. To kiss that disgusting badge before kickoff and then go and score a goal against them, that's big. But he's not doing that again next season. So I'll go to Sam first. The Chilean Latino heat connection of Sanchez and Vidal. What are your thoughts on each one?
Yeah, for Vidal, I think we tried to sign him a few years back, but he wasn't quite ready. And then I think we tried to get him just before he went to Barcelona. But now he's, for me, he was a bit of a liability to start with, but I think Conte kind of, he's always wanted that. He's always liked that warrior player in the middle of the park, who has the, the ability to go box to box. We didn't really have that sort of player. But now I think when we had Barella step in, he was kind of that more trustworthy version of Vidal, and obviously younger as well. But yeah, I think for Vidal, I think Vidal's like a sort of a one-season thing where he came in and stepped in and just provided us with a bit of depth. And I totally agree with you. I think he should be out the door. And I think that we need players who have the right sort of, the mindset and, doesn't like for me, he's kind of another Felipe Melo. Basically, with a bit more, he's a bit better than Felipe Melo, but yeah, just that same kind of, you have that worry when he steps on the park. And you're like, I think he should go.
Fair enough. What about you, Tim, man? The Chilean connection. What are you saying about that?
No, I 100% would be keeping Alexis Sanchez. Like, I think his contribution to the team is underrated, even though sometimes we go on about it, but he's incredible. Every time he comes on, he changes the game and brings a whole new lease of life to the team. So I think he's the perfect super sub. I think he's definitely someone we should keep. Vidal, I agree with what you guys have said. I think he was, good for a couple of moments this season and bring a bit of, a bit of grit to the side. But I think his time's up. I wouldn't be keeping him at all, especially for his wages. No way.
Yeah, 100%. Well said, boys. All right, I'm about done talking about Inter tonight. Believe it or not, 35 minutes is plenty because I'm sure there's going to be plenty of headlines that come up soon. But something that's really awesome that's coming up, that's really going to take our mind off Inter, are the Euros. And with every day that's counting down, I'm getting more and more excited. So I want to dedicate the last 5 or so minutes of this particular video just to talk about the Euros a little bit and what the boys expect. So me personally, after doing that little mock draw video that I did, I realized, oh shit, Italy's on the bad side of this draw, man. Like this, regardless of whether we're ready for this tournament or not, this just might not go well. I really hope the Azzurri can push through and, do their thing, because they are going to have to come up against a France or a Belgium. And, eventually you're going to have to come up against the big side anyway. So you might as well just do it the hard way. My thoughts personally, I think this Italian side is a semi-final side. I think they can get to the semi-finals. I just don't think there's enough experience in there to grind it out over the line. I hope I'm wrong, and if they can make the final, I'll consider it a win. Even if they lose it, I'll be heartbroken, but I'll consider it an amazing tournament. The same way I was still super proud after Euro 2012. There was nothing shameful about losing that final to the Spanish sides. Belgium look incredible. France look awesome. Germany don't look great, so expect them to surprise everyone and get to the final anyway. That's about it for me. I've already done my video. If you haven't seen it, guys, there's a video on the channel where I do my Euro 2020 predictions with a nice little game. I'll be sliding the names, the countries into those groups. I'm going to go to Tim first. Tim, what's your initial thoughts on Euro, and who do you think can give it a good run?
Yeah, man, it's a really interesting Euros this year. Just like you said, there's a few teams like Italy who I think have got a young group of great players coming through, and I think it's going to be a bit of a shift. I think the French are always going to be favourites at the moment, just being champions and just having such a freakishly strong team. But yeah, I think probably the final we're looking at Belgium and France. I think will be the two finalists, and I can't see people being able to take them out to the final. So I think they're probably the two favourites. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. Even I don't think the Germans will do quite as well. I think probably semis as well. Who else we got? The Dutch. They're hit or miss. I don't know. They can turn up, but they sometimes don't.
Bro, they've got such a potentially good squad. It seems a shame to put the icing on the top with Frank de Boer as your manager. That's a waste of space, G.
So, I mean, I just don't know what to expect then. Portugal's kind of the same. They've got a great squad too, and I think they could surprise a few people. And England's always there as well. So, it's kind of what you've already said. But, yeah, I think Belgium and France are the two favourites.
It's going to be a cutthroat tournament, and I'm glad you mentioned Portugal, because this to me is the best looking Portugal squad I've ever seen in my life. Better than the 2006 squad with Luis Figo in it, which should have gone further in that tournament, although they still did do well. However, they won Euro 2016 with a much weaker squad than this one. Don't be surprised if Portugal grind it out till the very end as well. Kiwi kicker Sam, I'm going over to you. What are your initial thoughts going into the Euros, man?
Yeah, well, it's a tricky one, isn't it? I don't know. I think I have to agree with Tim. I think that France and Belgium are the two strongest. I think that you can never write Belgium off just because they've just got such amazing players in every position. They got a lot of depth as well. And it's kind of like, for me, they call it the Belgian golden generation. And I think they're just reaching that right age now of experience and talent now, where they're not like that young up and coming side anymore. Kevin De Bruyne is like an established captain of Manchester City, so I think that Belgium for me are probably the ones to watch out for. But honestly, man, I think England are worth a shout here. Their young talent coming through right now is absolutely insane. Like, you could list off about 10 guys who are probably under the age of like 22 who are all really, really, really good. Do they have that big tournament mentality though? Because remember, like, this is a knockout tournament, man, and
anything can happen on the day. It really is the strong will survive. And the more I look at this Euro tournament, I'm like, far out. This could go to any of 10 different countries.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think so too. Yeah, I think with England, they're like Phil Foden. He's got that mentality that can take Manchester City to the UEFA Champions League final. So for me, they're showing a different level now of like even Mason Mount. The two young English stars met each other in the Champions League final, and they both played pretty well in the final. So I think I think it's a different level of English talent that we're seeing now. So I think England, I think don't take your eye off England. I think as far as Italy goes. Mancini has always been a kind of a coach for me who's a little bit of a hit or a miss. He did really well for Inter, but he didn't take them all the way. He didn't have that X factor to take them to the treble. And I think and same with Conte. Euro 2012. He took a team that was 16. Not expected to do 16. Sorry, he took a team who was not expected to do well at all, and he took them to what was it, the semi-final? I'm pretty sure it was
that was a godlike managerial performance from Antonio Conte in that tournament, man. Exactly. Like I was in Europe, I was in Italy watching some games on the streets of Milan and the Amalfi Coast with some fans, and everybody had the same thought and mentality. That squad's garbage. Antonio Conte got that squad all that way to that penalty shootout.
Yeah, that was all Conte, absolutely all Conte. Like to get the best out of players like Giaccherini and all those players. But yeah, as far as Mancini goes, there's a few. To me, I would honestly rather take Politano than maybe like a player like Raspadori, who I don't think is ready quite yet for that kind of stage.
He did call Raspadori, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He made way for. He took out. For me, I honestly think that Politano is probably the best Italian dribbler at the moment, maybe behind Insigne. I think that Politano is incredible on the ball. And when he cuts in from the right onto his left foot, I mean, how many times does he just curl it into the far corner? He's like an Italian Robin. I think he performs quite well. When he comes off the bench for Napoli, he actually performs really well. So I think that he would actually be a really important player to have off the bench in those late moments of the game. He's got pace. He's got really good dribbling, and he can finish. He knows how to finish. We've seen that at Napoli. Yeah. For me, that's one big question mark for me is leaving Politano at home.
Yeah, 100%. He's been a much better player at Napoli than he has been at Inter. And if you actually look at his physique, the guy looks like he's put on 8 or 9 kilos in muscle mass, dead set. Like he looks built and ripped as hell. At Inter, he was performing the exact kind of moves that he was performing at Napoli and getting bumped off. Yeah. This guy's physical stature has literally improved at Napoli, and I think that's fantastic because I always thought he was a gentleman. Politano is no Robin, I get that, Biggie, but they do have the same style of play. They're an extroverted winger that tries to cut in. And for Napoli, he was fantastic. I back that, in my opinion. Get Bernardeschi out of the squad and put Politano in. Tim, I'll let you have the last word on that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Politano, he was really, really good for us, but his end product just wasn't quite there. So he'd always be making these epic runs, cutting in, and then he would just miss the shot or whatever it might be. But I agree. At Napoli this year, every time I've seen him play, it's been a massive improvement. He looks dangerous on the ball every time. He looks stronger. He looks more confident. So I can't believe he's not being taken, if that's what you're saying there. But Politano's been great this year, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, we've been going. Yeah.
Sorry.
Say that again, bro. I didn't hear it. Say that again, Sam.
Bernardeschi's almost been a bit of a meme at Juventus this year. I don't know why.
And he looks exactly like Eminem as well, like real old school Eminem, which is really funny. Now I don't want to go anywhere because Uncle Sham was in the house. What's up, Zio? It's good to hear from you. But overall, I'd agree with what the boys have said about the Italian side. I just really want to see Italy win another trophy, man, because that feeling of 2006 was awesome as a young person. So yeah, you know what? For a couple more minutes, I just wanted to ask Tim something that Kiwi Kicker and I discussed earlier in the show. Hakimi, Lukaku, Lautaro. Let's be real. It's going to be one of those three. It has to be one of those three. We're looking to fish a big paycheck. Who's yours and why?
Oh, that's a tough choice. I've kind of gone this week through from one to the other because I'm thinking Lukaku, like I said before, with Conte gone, maybe it's time to cash in on him because he might drop off again. But then I'm thinking he's kind of like the heart and soul of the team at the moment. Lautaro, I think, he'd be easiest to replace of the three, just because I think we can find a few strikers with his similar attributes to him. And then Hakimi, it's hard. Like I've heard a lot of people, you guys were saying earlier that a lot of people are very upset to be selling him. To be honest, I think he has the potential to be world class, but I also think, how many times after games have I heard you guys and me talking to my mates about it, saying that his end product is often very average. Like he'll make epic runs, get in the best places, and then he'll cross it to nobody. So I'm kind of like getting pulled all sorts of ways here. So I think if I gun to head had to choose right now, I hate to say it, but I'd probably sell Lautaro, I think, as well. Just easiest to replace.
Right, so you got, three of us saying Lautaro. And big shout out to my brother, Uncle Shama. The squad we made ended up being pretty similar in the end. Considering we did that video on your channel a good, 2 months ago now? Maybe it's not that long. Maybe it's a month or two ago now. But yeah, I realized that the squad that we chose, the tier list, it actually was very, very similar. Guys, if you're one of the 20 people still in this video, make sure you like the video, share it around. It's been a fantastic live session here on Interworldwide. I would go longer, but it's Friday afternoon. It's time to put some steak on the barbecue and have a couple of beers and just really wind down as well and enjoy the fact that I hate to say it, there ain't no interfixtures this weekend or any other weekend for a while, and that sounds good to me as Campione. Tim, any final words, man? Thanks for joining us on Interworldwide.
No, thanks for having me. It's been a long time coming. I've been really excited to be doing this. I just want to say on behalf of all the boys here in the chat, thanks so much for all the hard work you do. I know how much hard work it is putting YouTube stuff together. And I honestly look forward to the videos every week. So I'm sure I speak on behalf of everybody saying thank you so much for all the hard work you do.
That makes it all worthwhile, and it just means I'm going to keep doing more and more. Sam, Kiwi Kicker, what a pleasure it was for you to join us from South New Zealand, man. Thank you so much, bro.
Yeah, likewise, man. Yeah, it's an honor to be here. I've been watching you guys for a while now. So also a big shout out to the other guys who like Uncle Shama and the other guys who appear on the show and put in all the hard work. But yeah, I really appreciate it, and I can only echo what Tim said as well. For all the hard work you guys put in. Always look forward to the videos every week, and continue to watch and continue to be a part of it as long as I'm welcome. So yeah, I'm honored to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, man. And today's just another day where we've got 2 more Interworldwide faces on the channel that are going to keep coming back and back. So it's awesome to have another 2 regulars, especially more south of the equator. We are dominating at the moment, bro. We are absolutely dominating. Good stuff. All right, guys, that's where I'm going to end it tonight. So from all of us here at Interworldwide, Forza Inter, Forza Interworldwide, ciao ragazzi. Peace.
Gotcha.